Hello, hello, and welcome, one and all, to the Snide Show. I'm your host, as always, Cornelius Edward Snyder, here on another solo stream. Solo out here in space like Han. Still with the scaled down kind of format, but I keep tweaking it to try to make it prettier and prettier each week. More graphics, more kind of groovy looking stuff, but we're kind of going back to the old school podcast days. But speaking of rebuilding this little Snide universe here, I've got some rebuilding to do in my own personal life. And we'll get back to that and other news after this. Yeah, so my little slice of life this week is starting out. Uh, yeah, I'm having to do some rebuilding in my house, my home. Yeah, we found some structural issues that are to be expected in a house this old that's had the sort of renovations that it's had. There was these issues apparently before, and during the inspection they saw that there were things like partial floor joists and stuff, but I didn't know what that meant at the time. Just some partial wooden floor joists. I might have reinforced them sooner, but now they are cracking. And yeah, apparently that's to be expected, over time with this kind of thing. Most houses these days, they're reinforced with metal brackets and metal girders and whatnot. So next week I'll find out how much that's going to cost. I just had a little consultation, had someone come by, take some pictures. I'm going with the small business, the local business, because that's just kind of what my instincts tell me. But also I feel like, if you're having some home repairs, if you go for a big company that's working from other places, they may not be as quick to check out your home when these people are living in your neighborhood. But and they also do things all in house. I'm not going to shout them out because they're not paying me. But it's a small town place here in Southwest Virginia that does these kinds of things, and they do it all in house. They have they have the floor guy, they have the carpenter guy, they have the bug guy, they have the concrete guy, they have they're doing all sorts of for those that don't know, a lot of places will kind of subcontract this work and outsource this work, which you really don't want with this kind of stuff. You want it all kind of everyone liable for what it's worth. Good news though, I'm working with ginger bugs now. I'm making some ginger bugs to make homemade soda. I am unfortunately a sodaholic of sorts. I can live without it. If I don't have it around for a while, I don't really think about it. But if it's readily available, if I'm out and about a lot, I'll grab a can here and there. I'll grab a cup here and there. But I don't like how everyone's doing, the plastic containers. Honestly, that bugs me more than the health thing, which that's a thing of its own. Of course, all the high fructose corn syrup and whatnot. But I want to avoid that. But also, everyone wants to give you this fucking cup and straw and lid, and it's all just this thick plastic that just it's like very unnecessary. What happened to the paper cups? I really like the paper cups. What happened to that? Yeah, so for all of those reasons, I'm making what's called a ginger bug, which is where you take like some ginger and you kind of make you bootleg some kombucha of sorts. You know, if you don't know, it's this the carbonation is made from fermentation of sorts, but it's like uh, a short range fermentation. You're not distilling anything like you would with like an alcohol or what have you, or in any sort of high pressure situation like you would a beer or what have you. You just kind of you get like a big old thing with like a spigot on it, or you can just do jars. I'm doing jars right now to start out, but this thing's going to grow over time because what you do is you slice up this ginger, peeled or unpeeled. I've seen mixed things. I'm actually trying a couple of different versions right now, scientific process, to compare the results and see what works best for my situation. And you put it in a jar with some fresh water. You want some filtered water, distilled water, because it's you don't want like a lot of chlorine in there. You're kind of actually trying to encourage a little bit of germ growth rather than deter it. Those contaminants are going to make some yummy little bubbles, because you're going to put some sugar in there, and it's all in these proportions. You kind of 1-to-1 sugar and ginger to 3 of water, and every day over the course of a week, you're going to keep feeding it a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of water, a tablespoon of ginger if you got it, and you're just feeding these bugs and stuff until you fill up almost you fill up the jar. You're going to have a little bit of air left so it can breathe, because what you're going to do is you're going to put it in your fridge anytime you want to freeze that growth, anytime you want to stop those bubbles. And you're going to take it out for a day anytime you want to use it. And that's going to make these little germs are going to breathe and make those bubbles. And anytime you want a soda, you're going to take some of those, you're going to take like a scoop of the water, the carbonated water, and you're going to put it in like a juice. And you get these bottles that have these stoppers on it, these cork stoppers, that they're like soda safe bottles or something like that. They're made for this kind of thing. You put wine in there or what have you, and you put that to ferment in the juice for a little bit. And I've seen these videos where you'd think, oh, you're putting just a scoop. You're thinking of carbonated water, you're just putting a scoop in this large volume. What the fuck is that going to do? But because these are bugs and you're putting it in a sugary beverage, it's going to continue that fermentation process. Huh? And I can make some yummy sodas that are made of real juice and shit. Eventually, I'm going to figure out how to make my own cola, because that's my big thing, right? I like a little bit of orange soda, I like a little bit of grape soda, I like all kinds of sodas. But the main one, that I usually go to is cola. I'm a recovering rum and cola holic. That was my drink of choice. So I'm gonna figure out one day how to make a healthy version of that. That's part of my quest. That is my alchemist's stone, my sorcerer's stone for Harry Potter fans. Moving along. Yeah. Let's see. So studio update. Yeah. So if you haven't seen already, we got the first episode of Ain't It out. Ain't It from everybody's Uncle T. He is our resident Jason Mewes for the View Askew parlance. He's our resident Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny. He's basically every character on Workaholics to a degree. He's a character. If you haven't already heard any of the stuff he's on, he's been on this show a few times. He's made some appearances on things here and there. We've had some characters based on him in Winston and the Gang. We recorded these sessions a while back of this podcast. It's partially autobiographical, partially storytelling, partially pop culture commentary. And because he is a character in his own right. He's got great ideas, but he'll be the first to tell you, he's got some issues, but he's always working on them, and I've always rooted for him, done what I can to help him out and stuff. And because he was kind of influential on me as a kid, he gave me these, he showed me movies and shit, like again, going back to View Askew, Clerks and stuff like that. Introduced me to some cool music and stuff, and he's always been a cool guy, and I've always felt for him because of course, again, I know some of his background and what has shaped him, leading to the things that we're talking about, and the things that he talks about on his show. So we recorded last year a few sessions of these podcasts, and I've been dragging my feet on editing them because, as you all would know, my ideas, they always grow beyond a realistic scalability of what I can do as an indie no name producer in my neck of the woods. But and this leads me to the other update, I'm always making friends in these industries around here, to bring into this motley crew of scurvy dogs that we're all indie filmmakers, entertainers, artists, musicians, that with our forces combined, we can do some Justice League type shit. I met today with none other than Mark Spraker of Onward Visuals, who is a much more successful, much more acclaimed indie filmographer around here. A wonderful cinematographer. I've had the honor of working with him on a few different projects. Hopefully I'll keep helping him with his projects. But he's very much in that corporate world of filmmaking that I've tried to dip my toes in a little bit, but much like any of this kind of stuff that I would paint as like more vanilla stuff, I have a trouble really sinking myself into, because my sensibilities are kind of weird. I don't have the resources to put into the equipment that a lot of those jobs require, and I'm more I'm more I'd like to link up more with music videos, comedians to do sketches, that kind of thing. Again, though, I'm a total hoe. I'll do whatever film work I can get around here. I'm a yes man in that regard. As long as they can help me pay my bills, I'll do whatever. And that's so we had a meeting today talking about how our skills could benefit each other. Furthermore, I kind of clarified the model of my business, which is that Everscope Multimedia is kind of this umbrella of a collective of different subsidiaries and partnerships that I'm working towards. Snide Studios being kind of the more comedic, controversial, experimental sandbox, which I'm usually very guarded about telling people about, because I've lost jobs, because people look at this and then they're like, oh, well, what? I don't want my shit to look like a podcast. And it's like, well, no. I mean, like, there's other stuff, over here. But, sometimes people, they see one aspect of what someone can do, and they paint them into a box, which sometimes puts me into a corner. So I like to keep them separated, and I but I put it all on the table for Mark, and I said, where I'm great with pre-production, secondary and post-production, mediocre in production. He's kind of the reverse of those things. He's great with all of those things, but he could use, some stuff to kind of inspire him as far as like creative works and stuff, and he's open to that. And so I told him more, and I gave him a whole like partnership packet, and he looked it over, and I gave him the TLDR of it all, and he was very receptive. So now, on top of having a brilliant audio expert in our midst with Christopher Downing, we will also have a brilliant cinematographer in our midst with Mark Spraker of Onward Visual. So any work that comes in where that he could be on the docket for, he'll be a functional arm of Everscope Multimedia. Everything from the contract work that I have to the Snide Studios stuff. I even told him some of the pitches there. Some fun projects with Zach Acid and Derek Nowlin, and many others with Odd Jobs, and which he's got a whole green screen thing where we can fucking get Odd Jobs looking the way I have it in my head, is like some Adult Swim type shit, some Tim and Eric type shit. And so we're gonna fucking do that now. I mean, I don't have to just get some space at the library if I'm lucky to fucking shoot a couple minutes. And he's way on board. He gets the comedic sensibilities and everything. So this is a monumentous partnership, not only at Snide Studios, but just the overall collective that I'm forming here. And that's very exciting stuff. Yeah. So, it's jumping from fucking public access to fucking PS5. Moving on. Ba-ba-ba-ba, All right. So the main story today is that Red Number 5 is being banned. I mean, I know there are lots of different stuff going on in the world, but I think that this is important. You see, over in, not to fucking sound like a socialist here or anything, but over in Europe, you have to prove that something is safe before you can put it out. Over here, we're more reactive, much like almost everything else in America. We're reactive rather than proactive with what we put in our bodies and on our bodies. It's wild. You got fucking Red Number 5 has had all sorts of correlation, and I know correlation is not always causation of causing cancer and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So let me actually just go ahead, and I've got a couple of different versions of the story here. Again, many other countries have already banned this. That's coming from WSLS. It's I missed this before. It's a petroleum-based chemical, and this goes back to what I've said about aspartame. Is like it's a coal byproduct. It's they've again found positive correlation between Red Number 5 and cancer in rats. And again, this is coming from the Cleveland Clinic. And again, it's a petroleum base. And so what a lot of these companies try to do is they try to get rid of their byproducts. Because I'm pretty sure like polyester is too. Like there's a lot of like fucking like plastics and stuff that what it is it's it's good in the sense that they are trying to reuse something that's a waste, but sometimes they go out of their way to create this stuff too, which again is just counter productive. But yeah, there are strong cancer causing qualities in petroleum, as we know, which is why folks make sure you're not using things like petroleum based like lubricants and stuff. Try to get off of stuff like that because it's carcinogenic. And this isn't some alarmist fucking hysterical stuff. This is like fucking science. So this is funny though, that manufacturers have 2 years to omit the use of red number five, which I'm sure will give them much, plenty of time to just like move a molecule around or something and keep doing the same thing. So yeah, it was already something that like it's a joke. It was like what in Daddy Daycare, that brilliant Eddie Murphy movie. It was a joke that like the hippie mom that wanted to, I don't know if she was a hippie, but she was like a helicopter mom that was like, the kid couldn't have anything because they were like trying to police everything, and the kid was like, red number five, ma, ain't I a crazy mom? It's like, nah, man. Like, that's not a crazy mom that doesn't want her kid to have red number five or sugar. Like, come on. Like, why is that being painted as a crazy mom? Um, yeah. So, it's something that a lot of smart people were already avoiding. Um, but now will finally in America be outlawed. I guess. You know, um, one small step, right? Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah. Ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba. So I think that's everything. Yeah, I was going to set up some clip chomp and info scat, with all the like UFO stuff going on, alien stuff. But I actually would like to put something together like that. That's nice to see. I don't just want to show you like a browser screen or whatever. And also a time when I've got a co-host, which hopefully next week, next Tuesday, I will have one. But we'll see. I mean, this at least was lighter on time, huh? But I know not nearly as entertaining. We need our comedians. They have their place in this. I do not claim to be a comedian. So yeah, that's all for this week, folks. Until next time, stay snide.